Hey there, Cryptid family. If you enjoy the chills, don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell if you're not afraid of the whispers. Welcome to the carnival that you might never leave. The carnival wasn't here yesterday, you're sure of it. You drove down this road 100 times, and there was nothing but trees, fields, and the occasional gas station that looks like it's hiding a terrible secret. But tonight, there it is, towering Ferris wheels spinning lazily against the starless sky, striped tents stretching beyond sight, and the warm, sticky scent of caramel and something else wafting through the air. There's no sign of where it came from, no flyers, no announcements, just flashing lights, calliope music playing from nowhere, and an entrance that looks far too inviting. It's free to enter, of course. The best traps always are. But something is wrong. The shadows are too long, the laughter too hollow. The carousel horses turn their heads when you aren't looking, and yet you step forward, drawn in by something deep in your bones, something whispering that this place was made for you. Congratulations, you're inside now. Leaving? That's the real trick, and not everyone figures it out in time. These tips might help, or they might just make you realize how trapped you really are. Either way, the show's about to begin. Tip 1. Don't win the teddy bear, it's watching you. Carnival games are supposed to be rigged. That's the deal. You waste $20 trying to knock over weighted milk bottles, and the carny gives you a pitiful look before handing a kid-sized teddy bear to the 7-year-old next to you. That's how the world works. But here, you win every time. Doesn't matter if you've got the aim of a drunk toddler. Every ball lands perfectly. Every dart finds the bullseye. Every ring slips onto the bottle like it was magnetized. And before you can refuse, the grinning attendant is handing you a prize. A teddy bear. Oversized, soft, and somehow heavier than it should be. It's not normal. It breathes. You don't hear it, but you feel it. That slight rise and fall, as if something inside is waiting, and it's watching you. Those glossy black button eyes follow you through the carnival. Turn a corner, and it's still facing you. Try to toss it aside, and somehow, it's in your arms again. You'll notice things too, small things at first. A whisper when no one's around. The strange way the stuffing shifts beneath the fabric, like it's adjusting itself. The way it always ends up on top of your belongings, no matter where you put it. Then one night, you'll wake up and swear you hear breathing. Not your own, not outside, but right next to you. Some people say the teddy bears are filled with something more than stuffing. Others say they become the people who lost the game. Either way, don't take the prize. Lose the game. Keep your money. And if you do end up with the bear, don't turn your back on it. Not even for a second. Tip 2. The cotton candy is a trap. It smells incredible. The kind of sweet, nostalgic scent that makes your childhood light up in your brain like a dying firework. Spun sugar, warm and fresh, glowing under the carnival lights in unnatural shades of pink and blue. You tell yourself it's just food, just sugar and air. But then you touch it. It melts too fast, turning into something thick and sticky, clinging to your fingers like cobwebs. No matter how much you shake your hand, it won't let go. The more you try to wipe it off, the more it spreads, coating your palm, creeping up your wrist like it's alive. The vendor grins too wide, his teeth too white. Go on, take a bite. You don't want to. You shouldn't. But if you do, you'll notice something before the first chew. Something wriggling, moving just under the surface. And when you finally taste it, your mouth will fill with a sickly sweet whisper. Stay with us. It won't just dissolve, it will spread down your throat, into your chest, sinking into you until your heartbeat starts to stutter. The people lurking at the edges of the carnival, the ones standing just out of the light, their faces blurred, their hands too thin, they ate the cotton candy. And now they can't leave. You'll see them if you look closely enough. Their lips still sticky with pink, their fingers tangled in strings of sugar that never seem to fade. So if you're hungry, stick to the stale popcorn. It might taste like regret, but at least it won't turn you into part of the carnival. Tip 3. The House of Mirrors shows more than your reflection. A good carnival always has a house of mirrors, an old classic. You step inside, expecting a maze of warped reflections, maybe a few cheap jump scares. You're not prepared for this. The first thing you notice, the mirrors don't just distort, they change. Your reflection lags half a second behind, watching you with an expression you didn't make. When you raise a hand, your reflection hesitates before copying the movement, like it's thinking about something else. Then you see it, the extra figure, not you, not anyone you recognize, just something standing behind you, staring through the glass with empty eyes. Turn around, and there's no one there. Face the mirror again, and it's closer. Some mirrors don't show you at all, just dark, empty rooms where the glass should be. And if you lean too close, if you press your fingers against the surface, you might feel something press back. People get lost in here. You'll hear them if you listen. Soft, panicked voices begging for help from the other side. Some have been trapped for years, their hands forever pressed against the glass, their mouths stretched open in silent screams. Then there are the worst mirrors, the ones that let something out. You'll think you made it through, that you've stepped back into the carnival, but something will feel off. The air too thick, the lights a little too dim. And when you catch your reflection in a puddle or a window, you'll see it, your real reflection, still trapped, still banging on the glass, screaming for you to switch places again. So don't linger. Don't look too closely. And if your reflection ever smiles when you didn't, run. Tip 4. The Ringmaster knows your name, but you shouldn't know his. The carnival has no staff, at least none you'd recognize as human. No ticket booths, no announcements, no signs explaining how it got here. But the Ringmaster, he's always there. You'll spot him eventually, standing near the main tent, dressed in a crimson tailcoat that somehow looks darker than the night sky above. His top hat never shifts, no matter how strong the wind, and his gloves are so white they seem to glow. He doesn't move like other people. He glides, appearing where you don't expect him, his presence wrapping around you like a coiled rope. The first time he speaks, it won't be to introduce himself. It'll be to greet you by name. Welcome, my dear guest. We've been expecting you. No one told him your name. You never gave it. But he says it like he's known it forever, like he's whispered it in your ear while you slept. If he asks you a question, do not answer. Are you enjoying the show? He's not asking about the carnival. He's asking about yourself. Would you like to see more? That means you won't be leaving. Shall we make a deal? That means you already have. And if, God help you, he ever asks your name in return, it's because he wants you to forget it. The main tent is always behind him, flaps drawn shut. You might hear faint applause, distant cheers, a crowd waiting for something big. If he invites you inside, it won't be to watch. It'll be to perform. No one knows what happens in that tent. But if you go in, the ringmaster always comes out alone. And the show, it never stops. So when he calls to you, when he tips his hat with that knowing grin, keep walking, keep your head down. And no matter how much his voice echoes in your skull, telling you that you were meant to be here, that the audience is waiting for you, don't look back. Tip 5. The rides were never meant to stop. You tell yourself it's just a carnival ride, a Ferris wheel, a carousel, a rickety roller coaster that looks like it should have been condemned decades ago. They all hum with neon glow, their lights pulsing in time with the distant calliope music. You step forward, hand over a ticket you don't remember receiving, and take your seat. Big mistake. The ride starts like normal. Jerky movements, the clatter of old machinery, the rush of wind against your face. But then you notice it. The Ferris wheel never reaches the top. You should have hit the peak by now, should have been staring down at the carnival from above. Instead, the wheel just keeps turning, lifting you higher and higher, past the carnival, past the clouds, past the stars. The world below fades into ink, and when you finally look down, you realize there is no bottom. The carousel is worse. You go around once, twice, 3 times. Then the scenery starts to change. The carnival blurs. The people around you dissolve, their faces stretching into something long and wrong. The horses twitch beneath you. Their glass eyes blink. The brass poles aren't holding them up. They're holding them down. And just as you start to dismount, the ride jerks forward again, faster, faster, never stopping. The world spins, and suddenly, you can't remember if you ever got on at all. And the roller coaster? Let's not even talk about the roller coaster. Just know that if you hear the words, "one last ride," it means you won't be coming back. There's no emergency stop button, no operator to pull the brake. You're at the mercy of the carnival now, and mercy isn't in its vocabulary. So, if a ride looks abandoned, leave it that way. If the operator smiles too wide, walk the other direction. And if you take your seat and realize too late that the safety bar never came down, hold on tight. You're in for the longest ride of your life. Tip 6. The clowns are not for entertainment. No one likes clowns, not real ones anyway. Something about the painted-on smile, the oversized shoes, the way they never blink enough. But at the forgotten carnival, the clowns don't try to make you laugh. They just watch. At first, they seem harmless, lurking at the edges of the fairgrounds, half hidden behind striped tents, their faces frozen in exaggerated grins. They don't perform. They don't speak. They just wait. You'll know when they've chosen you. One will step forward, moving a little too smoothly, a little too silently. His makeup is cracked, his red nose chipped, his ruffled collar stiff with something dark and dried. He'll offer you a balloon. Do not take it. It's not filled with helium. It's filled with something alive. If you hear giggling behind you, do not turn around. Clowns travel in groups. If you see one, there are more. And if they start laughing, that means they're hungry. They won't chase you. Not at first. They like the game. They'll appear in places they shouldn't. Inside the funhouse when you swore it was empty. Reflected in mirrors that should only show you. Their smiles get wider the more afraid you become. And when they finally move, when they break into a sprint with their arms outstretched and their painted eyes gleaming, run. It doesn't matter where, just go. Because if they catch you, you won't be coming back. Not as you, anyway. The carnival always needs more clowns. Tip 7. The fortune teller's predictions always come true. She sits in a tent at the far edge of the carnival, where the lights don't reach and the air feels thicker. A neon sign buzzes above the entrance, flickering between fortunes and warnings, as if the two are any different. You shouldn't go inside, but curiosity is a terrible thing, isn't it? And so you push aside the beaded curtain, stepping into the dim glow of candlelight. The woman sits at a small round table, her fingers tracing circles over a deck of ancient, weathered cards. Her face is shadowed beneath a deep purple hood, but her eyes see everything. She doesn't ask what you want to know. She already knows. She deals the first card. The lovers. That doesn't mean romance. It means you're being watched. The tower. That's not a warning of disaster. It's a promise. Her voice is soft when she speaks, but her words scrape against your ribs like something clawing to get out. If she tells you to leave the carnival, listen. If she warns you about something following you, run. If she stays silent, staring at the cards with a slow, creeping smile, it's already too late. The reading is free. The knowledge comes at a cost. And as you stumble out of the tent, gasping for air, you'll realize something. The carnival has changed. The lights are dimmer, the music slower, the shadows longer. And the worst part? You can feel the weight of a card in your pocket. You didn't take one, you didn't touch the deck. But when you pull it out, when you flip it over with trembling fingers, it's blank. For now. Tip 8. The food court serves more than popcorn. Carnival food is supposed to be greasy, overpriced, and a guaranteed stomachache. But here, the smell alone is enough to make your head swim. Something rich, buttery, wrong. The signs promise fresh kettle corn, golden corn dogs, caramel apples so glossy they look fake. You should be starving, but the moment you step closer, your stomach twists like it knows something you don't. The hot dogs twitch. At first, you think it's the heat from the grill making them curl, but then one shifts, rolling on its own, as if something inside is trying to escape. The caramel apples glisten under the buzzing lights. Too perfect, too round, and when someone bites into one, the crack is followed by a sharp, wet scream. The cotton candy machine hums, its pink fluff spinning lazily, but the vendor isn't adding sugar. He's wringing out something dark and red, his hands steady, practiced. And then there's the popcorn. A fresh batch tumbles out of the machine, kernels bursting with warmth. But the moment you reach for a handful, the pieces shudder, shift. One pops open. Tiny, glassy eyes stare back at you. The mouth moves. It whispers your name. The vendor smiles. Go on, have a bite. You won't. You shouldn't. Because the food has faces, and they remember yours. Tip 9. There is only one exit, and it's never in the same place. You were sure the entrance was right behind you. You just walked through it. But when you turn around, it's gone. Swallowed by the carnival's twisting pathways, replaced by more tents, more rides, more wrongness. That's when the panic sets in. You start walking faster, pushing past glowing attractions and grinning attendants, searching for a gap in the fence, a break in the swirling fog. But the carnival stretches forever. Every corner you turn leads you back to the main tent. The lights overhead flicker. The calliope music slows, turning sour, off-key. Somewhere in the distance, something laughs. You're not the first to get lost. If you pay attention, you'll see them. Faint figures standing just beyond the lights, half faded, their mouths moving soundlessly. Some of them have been here for years. Some of them were just like you. There is an exit, but it moves, it changes, and if you find it, you won't get a second chance. Here's how you might have a shot. Follow the footprints, but only the fresh ones. The faded ones lead nowhere good. Listen for the silence. The carnival is never quiet, except near the exit. If you find a place where the music dies, where the air turns thick and heavy, step through. Ignore anyone who offers to show you the way. They don't want you to leave. And if you hear the calliope music behind you, soft at first, but rising, run faster, because that means they've noticed you're trying to leave. And the carnival doesn't like to lose its guests. Tip 10. The carnival wants you to stay. You feel it, don't you? That pull in your chest, that whisper in your skull. The carnival doesn't just exist. You belong to it now. At first you were desperate to leave, but now you can't quite remember why. The music is softer, sweeter. The lights aren't so harsh anymore. The air hums with warmth, wrapping around you like a familiar embrace. And the longer you stay, the harder it is to want to leave. The games feel fairer, the prizes more tempting, the ride smoother, faster, more exhilarating than anything you've ever known. You laugh without meaning to. You linger at the food stalls, hunger gnawing at you in a way that feels different. Then you see them, the people who never left. Their faces are familiar, yet wrong. Stretched smiles, empty eyes that reflect nothing. They wander between the tents, their laughter too bright, their voices echoing long after they've gone. And then you see your own reflection. It's smiling, wide, too wide. You didn't smile. The carnival wants you, and if you don't fight it, if you don't run, if you don't remember who you were before you stepped inside, you'll stay forever, not as a guest, but as part of the show. If you're reading this, that means you escaped, probably. You made it past the cursed games, dodged the rides that never stop, ignored the clowns, hopefully, and found the exit before the carnival could pull you in for good. You should feel relieved. So why does it still feel like something's watching? Why do you still hear faint calliope music, even when you're miles away? Why does the scent of caramel and popcorn linger in the air when there's nothing around but open road? And why, when you check your pockets, do you find a ticket you don't remember taking? You left. You're sure you left. But sometimes people think they've escaped, only to wake up back under the big top, the lights flickering back to life, the ringmaster tipping his hat with a knowing grin. So if you ever hear carnival music in the distance, if you ever see a Ferris wheel on the horizon where there shouldn't be one, don't turn around. It means they've found you again. And this time, the show is just getting started.